My name is Naima Boldo. I am also known as EliNyamal in the industry, and I am from Ethiopia, from the region of Gambela. Nubi Collections is short for Nubia, which represents all Nubia. It started as a little girl in Africa, where at a toddler age, of course, we would use our creativity to make like little people out of mud, other ceramic stuff. And when I came here to the United States, between the ages of 5 up to age 7, then I started looking at certain magazines where I see fashion. It was just really phenomenal to me, and that's where I decided to kind of use my creativity and see where it takes me. The transition was pretty tremendous. Leaving Africa, where you grew up mostly in a wilderness, where there's no houses, we live in huts that are built with straws and mud. And having that lifestyle where you're just a kid, playing with animals and things like that. It was an extremely big change for me. When I came here to America, it was a whole different world, almost like a world that you never imagined exists. How I got into fashion. It was really unexpected. I didn't expect to be in the fashion industry, to be really honest. I know growing up in middle school, high school, I was one of those girls that was raised in a really strict household, very cultural household by a Sudanese family. And so as a girl, you're never allowed to dress, you're only allowed to dress a certain way. So whatever, your parents want you to wear, that's mostly what you would wear. And same boring fashion where you have the long maxi skirt or maxi dress. And to be honest, I didn't really like that, of course, growing up here in America, because the influence that I had from my school, going to a prep school. And this was in high school, where I see other girls like me, they wear the latest trend, the cutest clothes, and of course, lipstick, eyeshadows and stuff. And so I would always feel a little left out, and then I decided to secretly cut up my clothes at home and try to make something that would fit with the trend and with the popular kids and things like that. But of course it didn't go really well, because my guardians at the time, they were extremely against it. And if you dress in any way that represents American fashion or that comes from an American fashion, they immediately assume that you're like a charmuta, which is a word defined for like a whore or prostitute. So my people are really negative about the fashion industry. So I did a lot of it in secret, and usually when I leave the house in this like really strict, big shirt and long skirt, and by the time I get to school, then I'll switch it up. So that was my transition. It is a tough career to get into. Like I said earlier, I didn't expect fashion designing to become a career for me. So that's kind of where fashion chooses me. So, and when something like that happens, you're kind of in it for a lot of surprises, a lot of challengings as well. And a lot of things that I have faced myself is weddings, of course. So my goal starting out fashion was, if I'm gonna be a fashion designer, of course I wanna experience every level of fashion where you have, basic swimming suit, trendy, special occasion, and the highest you can go is theaters, films, and weddings. So it took a lot of journey to reach up to that level, where now I'm actually doing weddings. So it's a tremendous victory for me. Where of course in between, you know, you have to deal with personalities, you have to deal with different clients, you have to deal with a lot of different moods here and there. So it can really affect you in a really bad way if you're not mentally prepared for it. Where I've had a couple experiences where I would have anxiety and, you know, and of course, you know, I'm feeling down or depressed, thinking I won't get the outfit done on time, or oh my God, it's too much work to do, too much pieces to put together. So every pieces that I make when it comes to special occasion or weddings is always in it for a surprise. My vision was fashion. Of course, I want to tell a story. I want to tell a story about Nubia and Nubia Empire, going back to the old kingdom, the Kushtiks, and how Africa was once known as one of the most richest in fashion, where it all started. Now, fashion started, of course, in Egypt, which is the main capital of the beginning for whole Africa. So as I traveled to cover different places in Africa in the last couple of years, I decided to do an inside search of how fashion really started, how it came about, and I was really fascinated of how much has started in Africa, even including, you know, hairstyles, wig, makeup, and things like that. So fashion is deeply rooted in the African culture, and I really want to present that story through Nubi collections as well. And also the further vision somewhere along down the line, you know, we definitely want to make this an international thing where everybody has respect for African fashion. We will definitely plan on having a department store, hopefully branched out and further out into Africa as well. And so it becomes another center of the fashion industry as well as a whole. And I do believe that Africa does have a lot of that to offer, since it comes from a really rich empire when it comes to fashion. Especially with wedding dresses, of course you're dealing with certain different kind of people, different level of class, so you never really know who you're dealing with. But I try not to take it personal at all, to be really honest, because there are moments that are just so wonderfully and magically, and I feel so proud and victorious about my work and what I did. And especially, seeing the happiness in the face of the bride, the groom, the whole bridal party is just refreshing to me. But the downfall of it, of course, when it comes to, the chaos of the wedding, there's always that last minute period where you're about to get ready for the wedding and the brides and the bridal party are ready to pick up and do the fitting. That's where it can get personal, but it takes a lot of self-control. And those are the moments I like to, speak to myself, say, you know what, you can do it, you could do it. And to be honest, it takes a lot of strength, and it is one of those moments where you just call on God to help you. But other than that, it's worth it at the end. I am very, very impressed with how long I've come, and I'm extremely proud of the team that I have in Africa. They have been absolutely amazing team to work with, which is really hard to find in the industry. It's hard to find the right people to work with, people who can actually understand your vision or, cooperate with like every demands you throw at them. So one of the team we have based is in Nigeria. So of course Nigeria is very known a lot for their Ankara and their fashion, and they're very well advanced in that. So there is a lady there who is the lead for the manufacturing, the mass production, and all the tailorings. So when it comes to all the trendy dresses that I needed to do, or when we need to manufacture over 40 different designs, 40 different samples, she does her part. She delivers what needs to be done. So I am really, really honored to have such a wonderful team that can actually take things out to the next level. There are other fashion designers that have contacted me. Usually this is completely unexpected. It gives me that opportunity to know that I can help another fashion designer. In the past, of course, I had a fashion designer contact me to see if they can get into a certain show or a collaboration to promote their stuff furthermore. And usually what I would do in that case is try to connect them with the producers or those connections that I have. And then recently, there's another fashion designer as well who was located far into Africa. And there are a lot of designers out there that are doing their parts in Africa as well. So it's a great honor for her to contact me, and me trying to connect her through the wires and throughout the internet and stuff as much as possible to connect her with those, and especially with models and other producers as well. So I'm very impressed, and I'm very honored that there are other designers that do look up to what I do and would actually reach out, and I'll be more than happy to help as much as I can. The hardest, well, coming a long way, I kind of, things that I've gone through have now become so much easier. Of course, in the beginning is more of working with different shapes, different sizes when it comes to custom designing. And custom designing is not an easy job, because you have to, work with different sizes, different shapes to get the right measurements, and also cutting out patterns and things like that. But I have overcome that, so thank goodness. And the next level that I probably had faced in my challenge is weddings. With weddings, there's a lot of downfall where you're trying to get things done at a timely manner, and then maybe you're waiting on certain things like measurements and those kind of stuff to start working on it. But that's really not necessarily the hardest challenge of designing. It just comes down to this point now at the level where I'm at, is trying to get support and sponsors. So when you have a good support system and sponsors and those that truly recognize your vision and all your effort and hard work that you have already invested, then you're trying to reach out to others who can help you get on to the next step or to the biggest version of what you are right now. That has been my challenge so far, but I think so far I'm doing well. I'm doing pretty well. So. It's my faith. I will say it's my faith. A lot of people don't know my background or where I come from. And I come from a very unique background of the old ancient time of Egypt kingdom, where our ancestors are known to worship different gods and many gods. That has been a really tremendous change for myself, is to learn and to build my relationship with God. And that time that I had a gap period between designing, when I started off designing until I got back to designing, it was a 4-year period of finding myself, taking a spiritual journey and learning who I am and who is this God and where does He want me to go in life, and how far does He want me to go in life, and what is my purpose. And I think that has been the most deepest impact of my life, that have brought me to a final decision to know who I am exactly. Because growing up here in the United States, you kind of get sidetracked by the culture, by the system, and then you tend to forget who you are and the background you come from, and having to take that journey back to Africa to know who are my biological parents, what culture I come from, what religion I come from, what all of those were missing questions. So I had that gap in between to discover myself, and then I finally made the decision for my faith, because I believe my faith is what's going to get me to the final destination of where I need to be in life. And I'm very thankful every day. I thank God every day for bringing me in another side of the world where you don't have family or friends to support you, or your father to tell you, I believe in you and you're doing something amazing. And I'm very thankful enough that he had brought two wonderful adopted parents in my life that have gave me that belief, to believe in yourself, and to become something far beyond your imagination. And that's one of the things nobody knows about me. Of course, I was adopted and I was raised in the American culture, and this is where I had the courage and the strength to believe that a girl coming from a village or from a really strict culture, there's other side of the world that just opens up in you. And I'm very thankful for these adopted parents, and I'm very thankful God brought me into this country to see what I can do, and not just be a typical culture girl who would be put in an arranged marriage and have kids. So I thank God every day, and my faith is the biggest thing that I could be so thankful for. This is going to be the exciting part of the whole fashion industry. So my next is Newbie Ultimate Runway. Now this is going to be my annually show that I do every year, and it's going to focus a lot on the design that we want to market and brand out. So our goal is, to get buyers and, boutiques, or eventually one day, hoping that our designs will reach stores like Macy's or other bigger department American stores. And the ultimate next plan after that is opening a department store here and in Africa. So, and we focus a lot on, the annually show Newbie Ultimate Runway, because I believe that's gonna bring a lot of attraction. It's gonna be able to tell the full story and give people an idea of what I am capable of doing as well, and where my talent really all lies in. So our next vision is definitely to get a buyer and a department store in the near future. My biggest advice I would give a young girl and a boy is be who you are, because in this world there is no one else but you. You are who you are. You are created in a very unique way that separates you from anyone else. So never be afraid to, discover new things. Never be afraid to put yourself in a challenge. Never be afraid of what anyone think of you, especially I know in our culture it is extremely a big thing. When we're children growing up, we're always oppressed to believe that we only have one direction to go. So keep your mind very optimistic, knowing that there's more into this world. There is more than your surrounding. There is more than the culture that you live in. A culture is a man-made belief where you are only limited. So know that there is a greater purpose out there for you. You were created for a specific reason, and so never be afraid to open up that part of you and go chase for it, go after it. If you need to ask for help, there are plenty of people out there that are willing to help. Even if it's just becoming a fashion designer, you can do it. Even if it's becoming a model or whatever it is that brings that part of you out to contribute into the world, just know that you have a place and there is no one else in this world but you. Well, thank you everyone for watching, and I truly really hope that this has really opened a new door to a whole different beginning. Most importantly is to help us make this purpose and this vision come true. It's not only gonna help the people here in America or doing weddings or dressing up people for their special occasion. We want it to be a wider, broad purpose where we can actually bring fashion and trend into Africa.